Hello, Thiago. Thank you for joining. How are you?
Yes, Max. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much for your invitation.
So yeah, the idea of the call is to have your your feedback on the bootcamp, and also to share so that you also can share a little so about your background and everything. So maybe if you can start by introducing yourself, what's your background and so on.
Oh, nice. Once again, Max, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Tiago. I'm from Angola. Uh,
Mm,
I studied computer science engineering. I graduated back then in India. I was studying in India, I think,
mm,
2 years back because I graduated in 2024. So I
mm,
have background on software development, mainly with JavaScript and a little bit of experience with Python, where I used to develop games, and a little bit also
mm.
for data analytics. So to be a little bit short, I think this is my introduction. So thank you once
Yeah.
again.
Okay. Okay. And so you've been in JavaScript, React, and also a little bit Python. And
Yeah, sure.
so what was the trigger to start learning about Rust, or at least be interested in Rust?
Well, that all was like it started in 2023
Mm,
when I heard about a Bitcoin program from
mm,
Nigeria. It's
mm,
a Bitrust program. So
mm,
actually, I was interested in learning like the structure, like the infrastructure
mm,
about Bitcoin, and like the main programming language was Rust. So it's
mm,
kind of system programming language. Then I was interested to learn the language. I started looking for my own, you know, watching videos,
mm,
learning with ChatGPTs and all these stuffs. And 2024, I think 2024, 2025 in the beginning, that
yeah.
was March when I saw your post on LinkedIn about
Mm,
Rust. Actually, I was really interested in, the post you were doing about, we can also use Rust just like JavaScript for full stack
yeah.
web
Mm,
development. And
mm,
that
mm,
was my main stack,
mm,
front end, back end, database, and like the all back end stuff. So I
mm,
didn't know that I could do that in Rust. So that's why I was really interested. And I
mm,
saw that you were preparing a boot camp.
mm.
By that time, I think you were dealing with, recording the videos, organizing the
Yes.
structure of the course and all this stuff.
Mm,
So yes, I just kept in touch, and until
mm.
the boot camp was done, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just joined.
Yeah, it took a few months, and yeah, I remember when we started to talk, you were also in the Bitrust, also
Yes,
like a kind of bootcamp
like
also.
learning.
So
I was learning Bitcoin with command line using
mm,
Bitcoin CLI, Bitcoin
mm,
CLI, and
mm,
the main programming language was Rust.
mm,
So by then I was waiting for a feedback,
mm,
and I was also studying Bitcoin stuff.
mm. And you were mentioning, so yes, the LinkedIn post about being able to use Rust also for high level, let's say, and not just only low level. And yeah, because when you were thinking about Rust, because you told that you started with a CLI tool to understand better Bitcoin and everything, and at the time you were mainly considering Rust for I guess for systems, maybe for backends.
Yeah. By that time I was really considering Rust for low level programming, just
Mm,
for system programming, and so that was my main
mm,
goal because I was really interested in Bitcoin. I'm still interested in Bitcoin.
mm,
I am presently like I still do Bitcoin stuff, but
mm,
I didn't know that Rust is such a programming language that you can use for you know for modern web application,
mm,
modern web APIs. I didn't know that
mm,
I could do that with Rust. So I
Mm-hmm.
was really interested in knowing that I could do stuff that I like to do with
Yeah.
Rust, the language I was
Mm.
trying to get into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Okay, okay, yeah, and it was also the same reaction for me when I understood that you can do pretty much everything with Rust. It was like a revelation. So,
Yeah.
and when you started Rust, was there what was the hardest part or difficult part about Rust?
Well, to be honest, when I started, are you talking about the boot camp or just my my personal stuff when I
Um,
started learning?
yeah, when you started, and then maybe and then we will talk about the
Okay.
bootcamp. But when you
Okay.
started, yeah.
So when I started, the main part of, like, I think the hardest part I
Mm,
had to grasp at first, that was borrow checker. You know,
mm,
to grasp the concept behind the
mm,
borrowing and these lifetimes, and that was stuff that I suffered at the beginning. So
mm.
yeah, I really I really suffered because I hadn't a mentor to help me. I was trying
Yeah.
to do everything by my own, like learning on, as I told you in the
Mm,
beginning, learning through
mm,
ChatGPTs, trying to
mm,
see some repository on GitHub, and
mm.
and also the Rust book.
Yeah, also
So
it helps. Yeah.
yeah, this
Mm,
this this was my main point, my main entry point, and
mm.
then
Okay. Okay.
you bring the boot camp.
Mm. And yeah, what so what did you find interesting about the bootcamp? Where did it help?
Well, I think the interesting part I found on boot camp, like um, like the idea to be with guys from other part of the world. That was
Mm,
a very good experience, by the way, because I
mm,
had the same experience when I was back in India when I was studying. I studied with many guys from many nationalities, so
mm.
changing ideas, that was
Yeah,
really
sure.
really good. So I found it
Mm,
again on your boot camp. I was with some. I think we have some guy from Nigeria, if I'm not wrong. We
yeah,
had
also sure.
another guy
Mm,
from Poland
mm,
and
mm.
one guy from France. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was really good, to have that weekly sessions and personal session on Saturdays. That
Mm,
was really, actually, it was really
mm.
rewarding.
And yeah, for the the sessions on Saturday, did it help you to maybe like understand better some concepts or give you more clear ideas or?
Yes, definitely, it helped a lot. Um, as I told you in the beginning, like
Mm,
for me, maybe I can say the hardest part in bootcamp was to understand the concept, like behind the backhand.
mm,
Axum was a very, how can I say? No, I don't know the word I can use for that, but that was totally new for me.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Mm,
there are some kind of similarity with Node.js, using,
mm,
like, when you are using Node.js on the back end
mm,
and with Express framework, but
mm,
still with some peculiarity.
yeah.
And
Mm,
since you have to check, like, the borrowing, almost these
also, yeah.
personal stuff,
Mm,
yeah. So that was
mm,
a little bit complicated for me, but I
mm,
I was watching the videos over and over and again until I could get idea behind, to create an
mm,
API. So yeah.
mm. And did the project also help you maybe to maybe understand, but also like put in practice the concept from the video and so on?
Like the project, like, I think the first project we had in
Mm.
bootcamp, that was, I think, a to do app, right? That was to do app.
Yeah, yeah, the two app, yeah, yeah. Mm,
Update, delete, insert. So
mm,
that's how application, like, it's kind of the life cycle of an application. When
mm,
you are update some stuff, when you are deleting some stuff, you want,
mm,
you want to increase some stuff. So, like, the main parting point is these like these
Yeah,
projects.
definitely.
So by
Mm,
using that example, I could see how how I can create APIs and all this
mm.
stuff. So that was really interesting, by the way.
Yeah,
Although that
and
was a little
yeah.
bit complicated to apply user
Mm,
authentication because user authentication I'm still struggling with
mm,
user authentication
mm.
and but yeah I'll give it a try again and I
Yeah.
hope I can do it this time.
Yeah, this part is a little more complex also because you also need to handle the middleware with Tower and
Yeah,
everything. So
sure,
you need to understand futures and so on. So and like
sure.
because also the to-do app you were mentioning, so it's from week 5 when we start with full stack. And what was your experience using Rust for? Because we talked about the backend with Axum and so on. And what was
Yeah.
your experience with the front ends using Rust in the front end with Leptos?
Yes, with front end we were using Leptos and
Mm,
like Leptos is a little bit like so they have some similarity with React because I have a background in
mm,
React JS,
mm,
so
mm,
it was not that difficult to grasp like the
mm,
basic idea of Leptos.
mm,
And you had created that Rust UI, so that was a little bit
mm.
easier for us to to
Yeah.
implement some components and all this stuff
Mm,
because when I was using Rust or when I was using React, we
mm,
use Shitcn. So you
mm,
brought some kind of Rust version of Shitcn, so that
mm.
was I think a little bit easier for us
Yeah, a little
to
easier.
get idea
Mm,
behind it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and yeah, also the cool part also of Leptos is that it's they managed to combine the React part, as you said, with the reactivity system and so on, and also like kind of Next.js with the full stack approach with server function and so on, and yeah, so and like when you compare with JavaScript and Rust. Like how would you compare or how would you maybe try to explain Rust to a JavaScript to a person who has done only JavaScript, for instance? Or
Well, I think the very starting point is like to understand the philosophy behind Rust programming
mm,
language.
mm,
Because it's kind of it's a system program
mm,
design. You have different paradigms than we have in JavaScript and other programming language, but
mm,
you just need to get the starting point so that you can
mm,
build. Since you have experience in programming, then I think that you have already a good way to go
yeah,
because like you are not totally new in programming. So since you
mm,
have experience and you can all just merge ideas, you grasp
mm,
some concept from other programming language and
mm,
getting always now like respecting the Rust programming language rules, which is
mm,
like borrowing and all this stuff, ownership.
yeah,
So
mm,
this is the main point of the programming
mm,
language. So if you get
yeah, makes sense.
idea,
Yeah.
then I think you are good to go.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Yeah. Mm. And so let's say for people who is hesitating maybe to join a bootcamp or to join a program or to learn Rust, what would you say to this person?
Uh, I advise you guys who are hesitating to join a bootcamp. You'll not regret. I can tell you guys. You'll not regret. I think it is 9 month bootcamp, 9 week bootcamp, right?
Yeah.
It's nine week
Mm,
boot camp, and you learn everything from the beginning. I think you don't need to have experience in Rust. You just
mm,
need to have maybe I can say experience in programming language. Just if you can program, you can write code, then I think you're good to go. So
mm,
you're gonna start from the very beginning, the basic stuffs. You're gonna go from like a little bit of medium, writing functions, and then you're gonna
mm,
go from backend and then front end and database using SQLX and So I think you guys are gonna enjoy. I can tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, the idea also is to also be progressive, as you say. We start easy
Yeah,
and
sure,
then more
sure,
and more
sure.
complex.
We always start from the beginning,
Yeah, definitely.
like you'll not rush. I think we are going step by step, getting one after another, and so until we get to the end. And also, there is some, the last I think the last chapter we what is like how to create a good LinkedIn profile.
Also,
Um,
yeah.
you know, yeah. So
Mm.
that one is also good.
Mm.
I think it's a bonus.
Yeah, can also because
Yeah, sure.
because the idea is to to learn Rust to learn how to ship production ready applications. So there is also Airbnb clone, and as you said, the last week is more like also to once you have built something with Rust, you also need to be able to show that to companies so that it's actually useful also for you. And this is also why we have the last week on job. Okay, cool. So
Nice.
thanks, Thiago, for your time, for the
Thanks,
feedback
Max, for
also,
having me once again.
and see you very soon. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.